Hello. Welcome.
What's up?
Hey, guys.
Hello.
It's been a minute.
Sure
It's
has.
been a minute.
Sure has.
Everyone, thanks for tuning in to Unicorn Finders Thanksgiving edition. I'm just kidding. It's not Thanksgiving. How funny would that be if we had some turkey cutouts or something like that? I should have been more prepared for this.
I should have been more prepared. This is what we get.
You're a turkey.
Together, you know?
I'm a big old turkey. All that being said, for the few people who are tuned in on this holiday weekend, thank you for tuning in. But I will tell you, get off social media after watching us and be with family and friends, because that is what I'm going to be doing starting Wednesday. And that's also what we're going to talk about, too. Just to recap, if you do not know what the Unicorn Finders is, you'll be very alarmed if you Google just Unicorn Finders. So make sure that you Google theunicornfinders.com. Jake, Dan, and I are on the search to find the unicorn in both business and relationships. We've had some incredible guests already. Check us out on our podcast. We have some incredible ones coming up as well. And so what we have done is, while we do interview people, we also are really good friends. And the goal for this live session, we're the three best friends that no one could have. And so that being said, we just want to hang out, and we usually talk about certain topics. And today's topic is about burnout. Now, you're asking yourself, like, Taylor, that seems kind of interesting. You're talking about burnout around the holidays. Yes, we are. We are talking about burnout. And so I want to go ahead and kick it off, just because I know I'm dealing with right now. I'm dealing with burnout. Boys, what about y'all? You guys dealing with it all?
Same.
Yeah?
I'd rather not say. No, I mean, there's a lot to be thankful for, and a lot to be burned out about right now, you know.
Yep.
And you kind of getting it from every side, right?
Yep.
And I think it's about recognizing when you feel that way, right? I mean, I think a lot of times we're told that we need to be 100% all the time, and we need to be able to be 100%, invest 100% bought in it. Nothing can be wrong. Everything has to be perfect. And I think it's okay to admit that, hey, there is some burnout. I've been burning the candle on both ends for a variety of different reasons, or maybe in multiple ends, right? Maybe it's at work, maybe it's personal, maybe it's family, maybe there's a lot. And I think the biggest thing about burnout is recognizing that you do have it, and what you can do to cope with it.
I had one of my mentors message me last week. We were actually talking about this, and he had said that in thinking of burnout, thinking about that as overdraft, not burnout. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is that if you don't have it to spend, you can't spend it without getting some penalties on it.
Yeah.
Right. And
overdraft, like a bank overdraft. For some reason, I thought it was like a racing term, like you're drafting off of cars.
Nope. Oh boy,
I got real confused there for a second.
No, you overdrafted your physical account of yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and that makes sense. I think so. This is something, and I was talking to my counselor about this last week, and he was like, we need to kind of dive in a little bit for our next session. He goes, you always seem to be dealing with burnout around this time of year, and I was like, thanks. Yeah, I know that. And I think with me, I think. For those of you who are watching still, I'm a 3 on the Enneagram, just like Jake. I think Jake's a little harder of a 3. For those of you wondering, Dan is an 8 on the Enneagram. He anchors Jake and I very well.
Anchor means tear down, but yeah.
I say things critically. I say things critically. But so for me, like I go pretty hard January through November, and this time of year every year, and that's why my wife and I usually take off 2 years. Take off 2 years. Wow. I take off sabbaticals consistently. I'm sure if my team is watching, they go, yes, he does take off 2 years. We take off 2 weeks. I think this year's a little bit more interesting because we weren't able to travel. Jack and I just finished a long weekend together, kind of celebrating an anniversary, but. I mean, I feel good, but I'm still tired, right?
Yeah.
Like I sat back at my desk today and I was like, man, I just still am not feeling it. And so I think it's important for individuals watching this that you need to take the time and try not to push it.
Right.
Because go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say, this is a time where a lot of people are told to relax. And then a lot of people look at the end of the year, which for them is the end of the quarter, end of the working year, right? So you have the holidays where people are like, go relax, spend time with your family. And then you have the business saying, oh, hey, you have to have this done by the end of Q4, end of the quarter, right? And that just happens to be, when you have the three of the biggest holidays over the course of 5 weeks, right? So I think that a lot of people struggle with the balance of being with their family and being present and being available and closing down work, and also dealing with the pressures of work, saying, hey, this is the end of the year. This might be the end of the fiscal year. What do we do with our budgets if we haven't spent our money or spent our resources or hired the people in? Like, do I lose those? And then how does that affect me going into next year? So I think what we can talk about here for a few minutes are what are some good coping strategies. Coping's a bad word, and I don't like it.
Yeah, coping such,
like accepting it. But what are things and strategies to potentially avoid burnout?
I like that. Also, check out Cope Notes. Speaking of coping,
yes,
Johnny Crowder, former unicorn. He's in the family. He's in the blessing. He's in the blessing.
He's in the blessing for sure.
For those of you who are watching, I asked the guys one day, I said, what is a group of unicorns called? And I Googled it, and it is called the blessing. So happy Monday. Take that for what you're worth. No, I think it's important. I think the big thing is, for me, I think it's stepping away from social media. And that's,
I've been off.
Right. But
you're right. I mean, I've been off Instagram and Facebook for months now.
But for me, so it's a little different, is mine from a content creation perspective. So for me, consuming social doesn't give me anxiety. So and I've talked a lot about this with a lot of people, especially in the creative space. It just wears on them. It's a constant competition, looking over your shoulders, comparison. I don't do that. To be totally frank with you, I just compare with what's on the scorecard within our company. I don't compare on social media. And so for me, it's what was nice in the last 4 or 5 days is it isn't scheduling 20 plus tweets a day, isn't coming up with content on LinkedIn, isn't doing this live video, isn't doing the texting community, isn't doing the, you know what I'm saying? It's like all this stuff. So that's one way that I've been able to take a step back. So I'm interested to hear y'all's what y'all do.
And what was your way? Just like closing down social media for a little while, like just being able to
just separate. Still consuming. I still try to stay off of it. I mean, that's one thing I've worked on in marriage counseling. I mean, if we're really being real here, I mean, getting off my phone has been hard for me. And so putting it on do not disturb is actually a thing that it's helped a lot. But then mainly just stop posting to social. Stop thinking that I have to continually post, because that actually wears on me, not necessarily consuming it.
Yeah, I know one of the things that I've done on social media, I think I've got rid of them all, is to turn off all notifications to my phone, right? Like I used to get notified when people would like and retweet and follow and everything else. And I don't need that anymore, right? Like it does create anxiety. And, I've been talking with a number of people, therapists, friends, etc., about that exact thing. And it's the dopamine hit, but at some point that dopamine hit is you need more. And then you are constantly looking like, oh, was this bad content because it only got 15 retweets instead of 75, right? And then that gives you anxiety. And then all of a sudden you're burning out in things that you enjoy, right? And like one of the things that over the last few months that I've really tried to focus on is like doing things that help build and edify me rather than just to do things for other people. And to me, social media as the example is, for me, is I'm going to be me. I'm going to do me. I'm not going to try to be somebody else. I'm not going to try to replicate that. And I'm just going to be who I am unauthentically, which is something that we've talked a lot about. But I was getting burned out with social media because of social media, not with social media, but because of social media.
Yeah. I mean, that's so good. I don't know when it was. I've had notifications off on my social media stuff forever. Mainly, I'm also not good at it like you guys are, so it doesn't even matter. So both those likes really were hitting me though. But I still had it turned off because it was distracting me. I bought an Apple Watch a few years ago. I threw it out. I was just like, this thing's it sucks. I was like, because I'm always connected, always on everything. I
just
hate it.
Old-fashioned watch.
You can't connect. You can't disconnect from anything. Whatsoever. So it's making me not present with whoever I'm with and anything. And if some people have that discipline to be like, no, slap my own wrist again, and silence it without actually looking at it, because that's what you have to do, right? When you have those wrists, just
no, you never slap
it. It's a mosquito. And that's what I did. I was really mad every time I got notifications. I would just.
Jake is just that dad with technology that's like hitting things.
I'm just like, how do you turn this on?
I don't even know what that is. I've never owned an Apple Watch. You guys are far richer than I am.
Ever get one. Trust me. And I'm a huge Apple proponent. Don't ever get it. That's because you got your Rolexes and all the fancy things.
I have a Breitling, but thank you. So,
that's the only fancy watch I can think of.
So let's talk about what else. So like I think we brought the example of social media, right, causing burnout. But like there's other things in life. It can be overscheduling yourself. It can be involved in too many boards or community events where you don't feel like you can separate or have that time. And I think a big thing is also making sure you make time for yourself. And it can be very small. It can be 15 minutes. It can be 20 minutes of time where you can just spend doing either something that you like or something reflective, right? Like it may not be a money-making endeavor. It may be something that somebody else is like, oh, wow, you do that. Like you like to crochet or you like to
I do
color in adult coloring books that have
now that we're talking about it.
You know what I mean? So like
I'm gonna Marie Kondo this. If it doesn't spark joy, freaking get rid of it.
Do something that does
She's right.
spark joy. Right. Do something that like you can pull away from like all of the pressures that society throws on you to like always be like entrepreneurial and making money and doing this and doing that. But it's so hard to be 100% on if you don't ever turn yourself off. Right. So
yeah, I think it's so true, Dan, and something that I've started to do as well. So a few things I've implemented in my business. Also, Amy, thank you for tuning in. Amy, detaching achievement from performance has really helped me, developing processes that keep me moving forward. The attitude of continuously planting seeds deserve my attention. The results will come if I keep working. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just one step forward every single time. Detaching for, you know what?
That's that trusting the process thing, right?
Trusting the process. Love the journey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you, Amy, for that. And so I think with me,
real
Jake,
quick shout out. You need to if you haven't looked at what Amy's doing over there at Persevere, they've got a really cool organization for helping empower folks to learn about technology. Check them out. Persevere. I think it's just persevere.com is actually the great nonprofit. Perseverenow.org.
Also, Jake, you got another fan, Kathia Marie Kondo, Our Personal Life. Yes, absolutely. I've never seen that, but I feel like I'd be a fan because I'm super OCD when it comes to that.
I know. Look how clean your room is behind you, although that one picture is slanted.
I know. Well, so you don't see it. There's like a bunch of baby stuff behind the bed. I just make it really clean for the video. All right, so two things. And Jake, I'm interested to hear your thoughts because Dan and I have shared some things. And I want you to share some of your tips and tricks. So for me, two things I've done, I've really started to implement is canceling meetings. Not last second, but just saying, hey, I can't do this today, or moving the meetings. I think that was key for me. Like if I'm burnt out, don't have the meeting, just move it. It's okay. And I think too that I've just started to do is block out days. Like I blocked out all last week so I can get caught up and try to because I feel myself kind of like get anxious. And so I blocked out all last week. Now meetings still got on my calendar like they usually do. Yeah. So I think those two things, I think if you're dealing with burnout and all of that, I think rescheduling, being okay to say no to meetings or rescheduling meetings and blocking out your calendar. Jake, I didn't know if you had any tips or tricks to help deal with burnout.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback on the time blocking itself, shout out to Josh Heyman in our office over here, he's a freaking robot and how he can block his calendar out. But when it comes down to it, you turn off your notifications for all social media. This is my hour that I do social media, and this is when I respond. This is when I check out stuff, right? And just being able to control the bite-sized chunks of your day, so that way you don't get overwhelmed by the entirety of what's going on in the day and the week is absolutely huge. And that just comes from being able to have good boundaries and saying no, right? Yeah. I mean, had a post last week about where I had someone send me a calendar invite, and I got in a bad habit of accepting calendar invites from my mobile device to clear out instead of like actually looking at my full calendar, like if I was out and about. And I had accepted, I had 6 conflicting events.
I saw that screenshot.
I was like, what the heck just happened? Right.
Yeah.
So I had to eat some crow, go back there and go, yeah, I really want to meet with you.
One of those meetings was Dan's meeting. One of those
Yeah,
meetings was Dan's
definitely
meeting
my
that you
meeting.
missed.
I think that's the one I completely missed altogether. In fact, I even sent Dan a screenshot saying, see, it's not on my calendar. And he was like, it's right there next to that other one.
That was great. I got a good laugh out of that.
That was nice. Yeah. That was on purpose, Dan. That was just to offend you, of course.
I know. It's okay.
So, I still love you.
So as we wrap up here on Burnout, and again, thank you for those who are viewing today. It means a lot. We're going to shut it down for the week after today. Any last final thoughts on Burnout? I mean, I know for me, like if you're watching this, if you're going to listen to this later on the podcast and you're dealing with burnout right now, one, it's okay. Right. I think a lot of times in the professional world, I tell my team it's okay to feel feelings. It's okay to feel burnt out, and you're not doing anything wrong. Honestly, you're probably doing it more right than wrong because you're feeling that way. And take the time for you. And so I will tell you, if you're watching still, if you're listening to this later on our podcast, take the time and step away before you come back.
Well, look, sometimes when you're climbing up that mountain, you have to push a little bit harder to get to a certain elevation before you can shut it down and stop. And that's good. And sometimes it's like, oh my God, I got to rest or I'm going to get sick or I'm going to do whatever and just camp where you are. Right. You just keep moving forward, but it's okay to take that time to breathe and to rest and to be able to pour out more of what you have. You'll get to the mountain eventually. You'll get there.
I love it. I love it. Dan, any final thoughts?
I mean, I think you guys kind of hit it. I don't know if I have anything new other than, a couple of things that I just kind of learned in my life. I've been told, modified, whatever is. Number one is take time for yourself, take PTO. The number one thing about work is that there's always going to be work to do, right? There's never a time that you can probably look at your work and say 100% of my tasks and things that I'm capable of doing, I can do. Right. So take some time to yourself. It's work. Number two is find something that you really enjoy that can take your mind off of things that could potentially stress you out or overwhelm you or cause you to burn out. Number three is to really, really, really just sit down and be mindful. Spend some time in mindfulness. There's a Jim Valvano quote that I really love, and it's on a poster or a painting thing that I have at my place, and it says, to me, there are three things we should do every day. Number one is to laugh. You should laugh every day. Number two is to think. You should spend some time in thought. And number three is you should have your emotions move you to tears. Could be happiness or joy, but think about it. If you laugh, you think, and you cry, that's a full day. That's a heck of a day. You do those 7 days a week, you're going to have something special. So think about that when you do.
God, so good. I cry a lot, so that works.
Oh, I think you mean what you mean to say is live, laugh, love. Right.
It's basically the college football quote or a college basketball quote of live, laugh, love. Yes. And I love
That's
it.
awesome.
It's so true, though.
It's so good. It's so good. Also, Elliot, thanks for tuning in, man. Thanks, Amy, for that comment. Needed that. And Julio, thanks again, man. Great advice. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So lightning round real quick before we finish, because I want to get y'all's thoughts. What's your favorite go-to Thanksgiving side dish?
Side dish.
Yeah. Now it could be traditional or it could be like something that you guys do that like is different. But like, what's your go-to side dish?
I got a problem with green bean casserole, man.
You have a problem, or you like it so much that you eat all of it?
I like it so much that it becomes a problem. I make a separate one just so I can have more leftovers of it later.
Seriously? You like green bean casserole that much?
I love green bean casserole.
I love it. And I use the Trader Joe's portobello mushroom soup for it, which only comes out once a year.
Little tag out turnip truck. Hey, by the way, if you're still watching this, comment on what your favorite side is in the chat while we finish up this conversation. I'm genuinely curious what everybody's favorite. Green bean casserole. Look at that, Julio.
Thank you.
Look at that green bean casserole. That's right.
What? Come on over, buddy. I got extra.
I need to have some better green bean casserole.
I'll make it. It is the greatest.
Look at this.
Sweet potato casserole.
Maple roasted Brussels sprouts. That sounds good. I love roasted Brussels sprouts.
All right. Hey, Amy, we'll come over to your house Thanksgiving.
I love mashed potato. I love mashed potatoes.
Classic.
Like just plain, or like garlic mash, or like
you do chunks in them, or they?
No, it's my grandmother's recipe. I have a lot of grandmother's recipe things that we do, and they do them really well. They also they make cornbread stuffing too, which is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I've had that.
Cornbread
that is straight fire.
Sometimes I just taste up grandma's recipe because it makes it taste better.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, because it means you can use butter and lard. And
it means I could dip more butter into it.
Yeah, just For me, I'd say probably stuffing. Like I have to have stuffing and gravy, but gravy with my stuffing.
Just give me the bread.
Like I'm mouth watering right now. It's like 10:30 a.m. Central, and I'm just drooling. So yeah, stuffing, cornbread, any type of stuffing. And so Amy says you're always welcome. Former caterer here. There you go. I love it. That's awesome.
I too am a former caterer. We should do a cater off. Have a big old party.
Unicorn Finders is actually just a gateway to our catering community.
It's about eating.
Cool. All right, boys. It was awesome hanging with y'all. Y'all have a great Thanksgiving, and I'll see y'all next week. Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Yes. Thank you everybody for tuning in.
Hey, we've got